Hey there, welcome to the Astro Psyche. I'm Shawna, your astrologer, and this is your weekly astrology forecast for March 13th through the 19th. So we have a lot of different things, a lot of energy that's moving this week, and we are fully in Saturn in Pisces now for the next 3 years or so. So I'm very curious how you're feeling, how this past week was for you. You can look back at my previous weekly video, and then I made a separate video all about Saturn, its cycles, and Saturn transitioning into Pisces. And so you may know that Saturn moved from Aquarius into Pisces on Tuesday, March 7th last week. So I'm really curious how you have been feeling in the last week, and what do you feel like is shifting and changing? I know in my life and in family and friends, I've noticed where we're kind of like feeling where things are starting to initiate new beginnings. I just saw 2 little hummingbirds outside. That was really sweet. And I've heard from a lot of you that are like, oh my gosh, Shawna, this is happening. I'm feeling, anxious or weird or uncertain. And that is totally normal, especially as we're in this transition kind of period. So there is more change that's happening this week. And so yeah, let's get into that and what is happening there. So this week we have the Sun and Mercury in Pisces conjuncting Neptune. So this means that those 3 planets are coming together in the zodiac at the same point, and this is in Pisces. So this is the Sun, which is our energy, our vitality, our unique individual energy and spirit, and that which we have to share. The Sun is kind of like our inner warmth. And then we also have Mercury, which is the mind, the intellect, communication, and even business to some extent as well. Those 2 planets in Pisces are coming together with Neptune. Now, Neptune is about dissolving things. It's about connecting us with the unseen. Neptune is about enhancing our belief and faith and trust in things. Neptune is also about situations that feel ambiguous or unclear or ambivalent. Neptune asks us to wait and to hold space for the unknown. Neptune in the Tarot reminds me of the High Priestess card, where the guidance of that card is to get comfortable with the not knowing, to allow for the mysteries to unfold. And so with this combo coming together, there may be a sense where it feels like things are unclear. There also is a sense of being drawn toward something, like this is the intuition, this is the psychic sense. And if that wasn't enough energy already, this combo is interacting with Mars. So we have the Sun, Mercury, and Neptune in Pisces, and that is squaring Mars in Gemini. So Mars is all about our physical vitality, our desire to act, our desire to initiate, to confront, and maybe even to argument, to get into not necessarily an argument, but to engage in passion or feisty debate or sparring. And so this combo can create some challenge, it can denote some challenges, because Mars is all about action, especially in Gemini. It's about doing the things, saying the things, and communicating what needs to be said, whereas the Sun, Mercury, and Neptune are like, let's kind of see how things are going. Let's allow space for the unknown. And Mars in Gemini is like, I know what needs to be done right now, and I'm going to do it. So this can kind of feel where like maybe you're holding those different parts, or maybe it can show up as not necessarily having a clear idea of what to do or which direction to take. It could simply be feeling a bit, feeling like your energy is spread or your focus is on several different things. Super important is that Pisces and Gemini are both mutable signs. The mutable signs are also known as double-bodied. They're shape-shifting signs. They're about transition. They're about being this and that at the same time. And people that have a high amount of mutable, like a lot of mutable emphasis in their birth chart. So this means having a lot of personal planets in your birth chart that are in mutable signs, or having your rising, or especially your moon there. Rising signs are Gemini and Sagittarius, and then Virgo and Pisces. So people that have a lot of that, they tend to be people who have a lot of projects going at one time. They like to move around and to not go into one thing super deeply for a long period of time. And sometimes they can feel bad about that. So if you are one of those people that has a lot of mutable energy in your chart and you're constantly kind of moving from one project to another, I want you to know that that is normal, and a part of your path is to learn how to use that to your benefit so that you can be that social butterfly of projects, so to speak, and know that it's normal and it's actually good for you, and then find kind of like a way to contain that so that it feels like you are making progress and you are doing the things that you want to do. Anyways, that's a whole side tangent. All of that to say that, see, it is very mutable that I did that, right? All that to say that it can feel this week like there's a lot that's going on, there's a lot of options, and you may find your focus being pulled in many different areas. And the nature of this energy is that it's okay, and it's good for us to hold space for that, to say, oh, like I'm noticing that I'm being drawn in this direction, that direction, this direction. What do I want right now? What feels good right now? And even if I don't know what feels good right now, which is very Neptune, how can I focus on one thing and then allow space for that to change in the future? Now, the other thing that's happening involves, before we leave that, the other piece of this Sun, Mercury, Neptune, and Mars is that Mercury, so our communication thought process, will move into Aries this weekend on Saturday. So Mercury moves from Pisces, and with Neptune and the Sun, which is very like sort of feeling like you're in the flow, but also like there's not a lot that's actually happening, moves into Aries, which is about clear direction, confrontation, and moving forward in a very spontaneous sometimes manner. So I imagine this weekend there might be like a shift where you're like, oh, okay, I get it, and you feel kind of a sense of clarity. So I would watch out for that. Okay, the other piece that's happening this week is we have Venus in Aries squaring Pluto. So Venus is about our social connections, love, friendship, beauty, romance, sexuality, our resources, and it's the way that we connect with one another. So the social planet Venus connecting to Pluto is an intensification of our relationships. And it's an opportunity for us to look at how we relate to power dynamics in our relationship, how we relate to intimacy, and how we heal in relationships, how we find healing. And this is because that is all of the things that Pluto connects with. Pluto is about depth, intensity. When we have Venus, Pluto, in the birth chart, I'm thinking of some clients that have this, that have Venus, Pluto connected. Those people really love deep, deep intimacy. They want their relationships to be filled. They need their relationships to be filled with deep connection and passion and intensity. And sometimes that can also show where there may be a tendency to experience challenging power dynamics, whether that is situations around manipulation or coercion, or even some sort of abuse in some extreme cases. Now, that's not to say that that is always what that aspect means, but Pluto is power, and Pluto is associated with dominance. And so those are the wide variety of different things that Pluto symbolizes. Pluto also symbolizes catharsis and healing, and this idea of descent, going deep into the darkness, going into an experience where you're confronting very difficult things. Pluto is the shadow, the hidden, the taboo. And it's this idea that when we confront something that is very difficult or uncomfortable or even taboo, the shadow in psychology and Jungian psychology is anything that we have pushed away and said, that's not me because that is not acceptable. Both the qualities that are good and the qualities that are bad, anything that we've rejected. So when we go into that place to see everything, then there is a catharsis, there is a healing, there is a remediation. And so I know that sounds kind of heavy and intense, and it is. That's Pluto. Pluto typically is associated with intense experiences, moments of crisis. And so I'm sharing this with you not to freak you out. I feel like I say that often. I'm sharing this with you not to say that you're going to have a difficult experience this week. I'm sharing this with you so that you know that if there's a situation that comes up, especially in relationship, where you're like, whoa, there's this weird dynamic, or have this weird kind of feeling. And sometimes, oftentimes when we're talking about Pluto, it is more of like this gut feeling of something that's happening. Like that's your Plutonian intuition. And I want you to notice that. And we don't always have to change anything. Sometimes we just notice what's happening, and that consciousness, that is bringing consciousness, bringing light to the shadow element or the shadow material, that actually allows for a transmutation to happen. That then once we're aware of what's happening, then we respond in a different way. So yeah, I would just kind of notice what's happening there, especially because it is a square. Squares usually represent things that where we're required to make a decision, or it's kind of like a confrontational kind of energy, if that makes sense. Now, Venus is going to make this aspect to Pluto, and then it's going to move into Taurus. So, which I really like for us, because Venus rules Taurus, and so it's moving into its sign of rulership, which typically means that anything that planet symbolizes, in this case social things with Venus, that there's more ease and grace there. So there may be kind of like this thing that comes up this week, especially in relationships, and then you're like, okay, like we processed it, and now there's more ease and grace and flow in it. So let's pull some cards for you. And so I want you to notice what situations and things you're thinking of in your life. as we've been talking about this. I think week to week, sometimes it's like there's something in particular that's more for you versus for someone else. And of course, that's based on what's happening and the moment also that you're watching this video. I think that things like that are not mundane. It's like there's always this timing to things, and we come across the messages that we need at the moment that we need them. Okay, so beautiful cards this week. I'm using the Wild Unknown Tarot. So I pulled 3 cards. First card is the Father of Pentacles. This is also the King of Pentacles in the traditional decks. So it has this deer with antlers on it, with like these really beautiful rainbow antlers, and there's a pentacle in between them. This card is about leadership, and it's about leadership, especially within the material realm. And I'm just really drawn to this pentacle here that's in the center. Like I feel it like radiating energy. And it feels like a card that's encouraging you to remember your worth and your power, and that confidence, that confidence comes from stepping into positions of power and leadership. And so it's not like you step forward once you're confident. It's like you become confident by stepping forward. The second card is the Sun card. So this card is really about renewal and having faith and having an optimistic outlook on things. Remembering to look for the good. My grandma always said that, to look for the good. And she said, it helps. So this card is really reminding you to look for the things that are going to benefit you versus getting stuck into, this is a Pluto thing, getting stuck into looking at the negative or what's going on. Like this is like there's a lot of good things for you, and so to focus on that. The third card, I think we got last week. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure we got it last week, if not the week before. This is the Father of Wands, which is the King of Wands. And really interesting that we got 2 Father cards, 2 King cards. So this one has a serpent on it with the lightning bolt. And I can't remember who it was, but one of you said last week, this serpent is the coiled snake, which is like the Kundalini that we were talking about before. And so this can be seen as like this rising of energy. And all of the Father/King cards are about leadership and power, and power from a place of like, I know who I am, and I know that I am worthy and valuable, and I don't need to prove that to anyone in order to feel that way. And that when you have that sense of stability in yourself, that you can actually be very generous with others. That when you have a secure sense of self and a strong stability, that you can actually be very effective in your community, whether that is your local community or simply your family system, that there is a lot to give here. So this feels like a reminder that there's a lot of abundance here for you, that there's a lot of resources here for you, and that by pulling into yourself and concentrating your energy, which is the Kundalini energy, that concentration of energy, that then there is this radiating out of the sun. I hope that you enjoyed this. If you resonate with my work and with me and my work, and you would like a personal reading, I would love to do a astrology reading for you. I'll leave that down below on my website, and I'm wishing you a wonderful week. I am sending you so much love, and I'll see you soon. Bye.